Hi!
Hi! Welcome back to Knits by Lizzy. This is my channel where I talk about all things knitting, and today I'm very excited to bring you guys a very special episode. I have my good knitting friend Delaney here, and we're just gonna do a casual knit and chat, and so you guys can just grab some knitting and a hot drink and hang out with us as we do our weekend knit adventures. We do this where Delaney comes over for like 7 hours, 8 hours,
A whole work day.
a whole day, and I make scones and we drink tea and we sit on the couch and we knit.
And then you make me lunch.
And then we go lunch. And it's a really great time. Yeah, so today we're just gonna bring you with us while we do that. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Lizzy and I am a scientist and knitter from New Hampshire. And
Well, we met in grad school.
yes.
We met in grad school orientation. Interview weekend.
Yeah,
Yes.
we met, okay, so we were both in the same PhD program and we met during interview weekend. And
Which is crazy. You were literally like sitting across the aisle from me when I was going on the bus. When we were going on the bus to...
Oh yeah, even on the bus from
Yeah, like
Boston.
from the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny. So it was kind of serendipitous.
Yeah.
But,
Very fast friends.
Yes.
Kind of immediate, and that was like almost 6 years ago.
oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
It was in 2019.
Yeah,
it was in
that's
2019.
crazy.
And yeah, so we've been friends for a long time. So that's how we know each other. And Delaney started knitting first. You already knew how to knit.
Yeah. And then I was knitting like hats and hats. I knit a mitten, a sock.
I
didn't really know what I was doing. I found a picture of a mitten I made. It was but I made a mitten, I made a sock, and then I made sweaters for my dog. And then yeah, I followed your lead on making sweaters for myself.
Yeah, so Delaney knew how to knit first, and then I learned how to knit in 2022 and jumped fairly quickly into sweaters. I knit hats first too, but I learned how to knit in like September of 2022, and then that Christmas of 2022, I knit hats for everyone in my family, and then I think I finished my first sweater in March-ish of 2023, and then I knit sweaters. In 2023, I was knitting sweaters for my whole family for Christmas, and that's kind of how I taught myself a lot of different techniques. And so then this year, 2024, has been the first year that I've been primarily knitting for myself. And I think it was like maybe towards the end of 2023.
Yeah.
It was
like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was like fall of 2023. So it's like been like a year-ish.
Yep.
Yeah, of you making garments.
Yep. Should we start off with what we're wearing?
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay. This, actually I haven't shown it on the podcast a ton. I think only when I had first finished it. So this is good that I'm wearing this. I can talk about it more. Okay, so this is my Anise sweater by Gregoria Fibers, and this was a test knit that I did for her. And I did the test knit back in September, so I think it's like podcast like 4-ish or something that I talked about this. And the pattern actually just very recently came out, like 2 weeks ago or something. So
Yeah,
the test knit was like way before.
Yeah.
I was expecting the pattern to come out like end of October, but you know, everyone's got their own schedule. But
Yeah, that's true. I feel like test knits usually like you turn it in and then
it's out.
later it's out. Yeah.
So I don't know what her but the test one went really smoothly. Yeah, Anise sweater. I knit the first size, and I used Amigo held with the vegan mohair that I've talked about on this channel all the time. Lamb Yarn Soft Sensations.
Nice. Yeah, I like this one. It has the little flare in
Yeah.
the waist, which is really
so
cool.
I'll stand up so you can.
It's like a little skirt.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things that I was interested in the pattern, but I also just like really wanted to be test knitting something, because I had in September I'd only had my knitting Instagram for like a month or something, and I was applying to like any sort of pattern that I thought was like, okay, I would use that. I was applying to all these test knits because I just really wanted to do it and like be part of the community.
It
And
seems
so,
kind of competitive though.
yeah.
Well, I guess it's like it's only like 2 slots per size.
Yeah. And so I got rejected from like, this is maybe the 4th one I applied to. I got rejected to the first 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I like seeing the like feminine floof on the bottom of this. I don't know if I would have like chosen this pattern if I wasn't test knitting it, but I'm actually super glad that it happened, because I actually really, really like it, and I kind of would have not otherwise chosen it, but now I have this in my wardrobe, and it's so different from all the other things that I have that it works out.
And I feel like because you did it in a darker color, like you don't see this part, the flare as much.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more subtle versus
Yeah.
I feel like if you did it in like a pink or
Yeah,
a lighter color,
pastel,
you would be able to see it more. So you can make it more or less feminine, I feel like.
Yeah.
Depending on the color that you choose.
Yeah. So that's what I'm wearing. Actually, we're
kind of matching.
Yeah, greenish.
Yeah, it's Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so I'm wearing the Arctic Light sweater, which is a pattern by Kutoba Kika or Veronica Lindbergh. And I made this using Barocco Ultra Alpaca. So that's a 15% Peruvian wool and a 15% alpaca, and it gives this really nice light fabric, but it's also still quite warm. I had to take a pause because it was too warm. And it's got these all over cables, and I've made this sweater now 3 times in the last 3 months.
I don't think I've mentioned that Delaney has a knitting YouTube channel as well, Black Dog Knits. So you can follow her on Black Dog Knits
and hear about this sweater
Yeah.
copiously. And so, yeah, I'm really happy with the finished product, and I made a matching one for my cousin, which was not intended necessarily. So anyways,
But it was
I
a
love
happy
the sweater.
accident. Happy
yes,
accident.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a happy accident. I love the color. I feel like this color's meant for cables.
Yeah.
But yeah. I
This
really like
pattern
it.
is so
highly
good.
recommend it.
Because it's not, okay, so I think there's a lot of cabled sweat. I mean, sorry, Nordland, maybe it's an exception to this, but there's a lot of cabled sweaters that are like one main cable over and over and over and over and over again.
And this one has I think it has 9 different cables.
Yeah, it's like a huge diversity of different cables, and so
like here versus on the sleeve.
Even cabling can
really
get monotonous after
Yes,
a while.
I agree.
But like this sweater, it like definitely will keep you engaged. I think we talked before that like the fact that the sleeve cables are different than the body cables is nice.
The sleeve cables, actually, I'm gonna digress here a little bit. The sleeve cables are my favorite ones. This one right here, I don't know if you can see it or not. Anyways, this is technically called the wishbone cable, and Veronica Lindbergh right now is doing an advent of sale or an advent sale for all of her different patterns. And so one of her sweaters is called the wishbone sweater, so it's literally all over this wishbone cable. And so when that went on sale, I immediately bought that pattern because this is such a pretty cable.
Yeah. I'll definitely put a picture in for you guys.
Yes, so you can actually see it close up. So yeah.
What color are you gonna make? What would you make that one in?
I was thinking, you know, I really like blue. Green was a bit of a
out of the box.
It was a little bit of a new thing for me, but I was thinking I would go kind of crazy again and maybe do it in like a lighter brown.
Oh,
I think the sample is in like oatmeal or something.
Yeah.
It looks. I think it would look really nice in like a neutral color.
Yeah, definitely. I think you could definitely see the cables. Really
Yes,
well,
exactly. But I was thinking like it's not really a color for gray. Like I feel like it needs a brown or.
Do you want like a warmer undertone?
Kind
of thing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Nice.
So maybe next year I'll make that one.
That one would be. Yeah, I don't know. That one would.
What do you think?
I was thinking, like, I wonder if that one would be more or less difficult than this one. In some aspects, it would be less difficult because it's only one thing over and over again. But I wonder if
it's a drop shoulder. So this one is a raglan, versus the wishbone sweater is a it's a drop shoulder. And also this one, the front and the back are the same in that there's no neck shaping.
There's no shaping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
like my one gripe about that sweater was that there was no. I knit this one too. I wish that there had been German straw rows, but it's like it's so complicated. I don't know how you would even.
Some people incorporated it. Like if you look at the projects, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna try that. So, but I do know that for the wishbone one, there are options to do some neck shaping, and I definitely would do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about what we're working on.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Sure. I'm working on, it's called the Drew vest. I'll send the pattern to Lizzy so she can put in a picture. Right now I'm literally just working on the back panel, which is worked flat in a twisted garter rib. And so it's a lot of twisted pearls, and it's a pretty pattern, but this is supposed to be 16.5 inches long. So we're going to be doing this for a while. This is going to be a sweater for my dad for Christmas, hopefully. And I was supposed to make him a different sweater or a different vest. But then I was like, I should probably ask him what he wants because, you know, you're going to spend all this time on it. And so I asked him like what kind of sweater he would like or what kind of vest he would like. And he told me not an old manish look. And so then I showed him the vest that I was planning on making him, and he was like, yeah,
That's
it's
an
a
old
little
man.
bit old manish for me. So I was like, well, good thing I checked. So then I was like, do I surprise him with the color? And then I asked him about the color, and he was like, oh, probably like a purpley blue, like light blue, and I had gotten him orange yarn. So we went back to the drawing board on that, and luckily I hadn't started yet, and we found this pattern, and hopefully he'll be happy with it.
And now you have orange yarn.
Which I'm gonna make one of the Creabeas patterns with.
Ooh, do you know?
I'm probably gonna say this wrong, the Lanark.
Oh, Lanark.
Lanark?
Lanark.
I think it's...
That's like cable one,
yes. Right? No, I think it's Fisherman's Rib.
Oh, is it the
Something
zipper
like
one?
Yes.
Is that the zipper one?
Yes, and I think it's gonna be really
And
cozy.
that's for you, or half Fisherman's Rib.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's with a superwash yarn, so it's gonna be really nice and soft and squishy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've looked at that pattern. That's
So he missed out on some squishy,
Yeah.
soft yarn.
That would be so
and
good.
I'm using Cascade 220 for this one in Stonewash, which is a nice, pretty
feels
color.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like soft and rough at the same time.
Yes, it's yeah. I think it will soften with wash when I wash it.
Do you want to show them your bowl?
Oh, yeah.
This is so cool.
Okay, so before I was a knitter. This is too much. I really like doing pottery, and so I have made a lot of bowls, and I most recently was thinking I should make something that is knit related, so I made a yarn bowl, and this is it. I tried to make a swirl, but it broke, so
Here, we're gonna zoom in for you.
Yeah, the color's a little whatever, but I can show a picture. We can put in a picture so that you can see. But it's really fun, and I thought that it would be excessive in terms of having this, but it's actually really helpful to have something so that your yarn isn't just, taking a tour around your living room.
I feel like one of these would be a perfect gift knit to give a knitter.
Absolutely.
So because it's something that's nice, but like you're like it's not 100% necessary, but it's like a nice thing to have, which is like perfect for a gift, because if something for someone's hobby is like completely necessary, they're probably just gonna buy it themselves or like already have one. But this is like a fun accessory that is nice to have, but not absolutely necessary. So if you are watching this and you have a knitter in your family, it would be a good gift.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's fun, and you can buy these on Etsy and stuff. People make these.
Yes.
I really didn't find it that difficult to make, in all honesty, so if you do ceramics as well, it's definitely something that's worth doing. I made mine I tried to aim for the outside and the height of it to be a little bit over 4 inches so that it would be able to fit a full cake of yarn.
Was this like the circular swoop-de-doo?
I carved it out.
Oh.
But it was supposed to be a spiral, but unfortunately the spiral broke off, so it ended up being, it looks like a musical note.
It does.
Yeah.
It does look like a musical note.
It's fun.
Yay. That's so cool. I am working on my Sunday sock by Petite Knit, which is, I'm also working on a gift knit. This is going to be for my brother. So this is, I'm almost done with sock number 1. And if you have been following along on the saga, you know that I have knit one of these before. So I am, I'm making these for my brother. So he's a man that has big feet. He's got like size 10 to size 11 feet. And I knit, this is a 2x2 ribbed DK, worsted actually. Yeah. It calls for a worsted weight yarn. And so I'm holding 2 fingering together. And I was thinking, like, I didn't gauge swatch, like famous last words, right? Didn't gauge swatch.
I didn't gauge swatch for this either. I think I just looked at it and was like, oh, it's a little over. I'll just go down a needle size.
You're
so
gonna get a 16-inch long gauge swatch. And so I was thinking, I'm a looser knitter-ish. I think I'm less of a looser knitter than I used to be
I feel like as you progress, you slowly just adopt the regular.
The average knitter tension, yeah. So the pattern calls for, I think, 4.5 millimeter needle or something like that. And I knit these on 3.0, which I thought was like, these are socks knit on 3 millimeter needles. Like, that's really big for socks. This will be fine. And it was like super, like, this is it's hard to show you guys the density of this, but
it's very dense. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh wow, those are mini. Those are narrow. I have very narrow feet, by the way, and I saw those and I was like, I don't know if my foot would fit on those.
So I abandoned these. I have yet to frog it, but I'm gonna need to frog it for the yarn, I think. And I redid it on 4.0.
Yeah.
And it's like the fabric's way better. And it's one of those things that I like kind of knew in the back of my mind that it wasn't working, and I just like kept going on that other sock. Because as I was knitting it, I was really having to like it was like tight. I was really having to like,
it's like uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable to knit. Like my fingers were getting tired.
Yes.
Like your fingers should not be getting tired.
And like your needles start to like unwind.
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
that's
a bad sign.
Yeah.
So so we're redoing it, and
these look good though. I like these.
I think this will work.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty, like, the 2x2 rib is, like, really stretchy. So I think it should fit him. And it has a super long cuff that you fold down. And so it's going to be these, like, cozy house socks. Like, I don't think they're really meant... They're, like, almost more like slippers. Like, I don't know if they're really meant to be, like, worn around in shoes. But he...
I don't know if they would fit in shoes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, boots, maybe. Yeah.
True.
Like, big old boots would probably be the only thing. But he works from home. Like, he works on his computer. And so he spends a lot of time... like at home working, and I swear he's like never wearing socks. His feet always seem cold. So now
some people like to be barefoot.
Yeah.
Like my sister-in-law literally walks around the house in barefoot like in the winter.
Yeah.
But she's always cold, so I don't really understand.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, this is what he's getting for Christmas. I'm about 98% sure that he doesn't watch my videos, so.
True. This is gonna be on your channel, so hopefully my dad doesn't watch your channel.
So that's what I'm working on. Okay, so we have a few prompts here. We're just gonna like discuss knitting things. As you can see, this is a pretty casual little knit and chat we got going on here. First question. Oop, that's the wrong end. First question. What is your favorite sweater pattern?
This is a good question. There's so many good sweaters. This
one. There's different types of
patterns. I know. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite things is in those twins who knit, when one of them is like, I categorize my sweaters into 3 different categories, and it's like timeless ones. What is like everyday ones, and then it's like the ones that I would want people to see like at my funeral because I'm so proud of them. Yeah, exactly. Like that would be the sweater.
Yeah.
But I feel like I made a terrazzo sweater with and it doesn't look like a terrazzo sweater because I didn't do the high turtleneck. I just did a twisted rib, very simple crew neck.
Do you fold it over?
I didn't even fold it over.
Oh, okay.
I literally just did, I think, like an inch and a half of ribbing.
Yeah.
I love that sweater. I wear it all the time, and I kind of want to make another one just because it fits so well. It's a saddle shoulder construction, I think. And that, I think it's saddle shoulder. I don't know. I was trying to understand, like, what's the difference between saddle shoulder and
contiguous?
Yeah, is that the same as set-in sleeve?
Oh, no. No, I think contiguous is different than set-in sleeve. Isn't set-in sleeve, like, it's still like a drop? Set-in sleeve, I think it's still dropped. Like, I think you knit it similarly to a drop shoulder, right?
Yeah, but I think a set-in sleeve is supposed to be, like, flush with where the end of your shoulder is. It's not like a drop where it starts later down.
Right.
So I feel like it kind of has that quality to it, too, and I have found that I like that look. I was like, oh, I really like the way that my shoulders look in this, but that's a weird thing to say. So I was just like, I like this cut.
I think my favorite, like, everyday pattern would be the Monday sweater.
That one's also really versatile.
Yeah.
And it's really popular.
Yeah. It's popular for a reason. It fits really well.
Yeah, it does. And it's one of those things where you can use really special yarn for because it's such a simple pattern. So you can really just... You can use like hand-dyed yarn if you want, or you can use like just very simple yarn that is not, and no matter what, the sweater looks really good. I love the 3 raglan stitches. Like the way that it looks is just very clean and crisp.
And that pattern has so many short rows. Like
yes, the neck on that one, even though like it's a seamless sweater, it looks really nice. Like the neck is not at all flat because you do so many short rows.
Yeah, it fits well.
We made our Monday sweaters around the same time.
Yeah, we did. It was like an accidental knit along.
Yeah, that was funny.
Which we have yet to do an actual knit along.
Well, we should do one this winter.
Yeah, we should do it this winter, and you guys can join. If anyone wants to join, we can make like a tiny little Instagram
that'd be fun.
See if anyone wants to join. Probably with like what were we saying we were gonna knit?
The staffing sweater.
Oh yes, the staffing sweater.
Yes. That would be really good one.
Yeah. Okay, we might do a staffing sweater knit along when that pattern comes out. When's it coming back?
Yeah. Okay, so
January?
I tested the vest, so I've already done the pattern, and it's so fun once you figure it out. January 10th?
January 10th.
8th? I can't remember.
That would be perfect, because everyone will be done gift knitting. Everyone will be done gift knitting, and you can like do an exhale from gift knitting to like make something for yourself. And
yeah, and it's also, I think she says it's worsted, but I think she's a loose knitter, so it really is kind of more like an Aran weight. So it'll go quickly, I think.
Yeah, perfect.
Famous last words.
Yeah. Perfect.
This will be fast.
Okay, related question. Favorite yarn so far?
Another good question.
Actually, I don't know your answer to this. I'm sure you know my answer, but I don't know your answer.
Yeah, maybe you should go first because I need to think about this.
Okay, so if anyone, if you're a returning viewer, you know the answer to this too. Right now, it's what I knit my holly sweater out of, and I am so excited to knit other things out of it because I've actually only used this combination once, but it will not be the last. Which is fingering weight sock yarn held with a vegan mohair, Lamy Yard Soft Sensations. So Cascade yarn cherub sock held with Lamy Yard Soft Sensations, and it kind of gives a similar vibe to if you were holding a fingering weight wool merino and then a lace weight wool mohair together. And I find that the cherub, I really want to try like they make other weight versions of cherub.
DK.
Yeah, I want to try the DK weight version of cherub because that yarn, especially the white, that yarn for an acrylic is very, like, it's kind of even like fuzzy in a way, not the way that it's trying to be like mohair-ish, but it's like fuzzy in the way, it's fuzzy instead of shiny. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
it's fuzzy
got a little bit of a
shiny.
halo.
Yeah,
Which is nice.
And I really dislike when acrylic yarn is shiny, and I think there's quite a few people don't like that. I think there is, some people probably like it. But for me, that's what I have been searching for is acrylic yarn that's not shiny, especially for a white. In the colors, usually like it's fine if it's like I think the shine is less obvious in colors. Like,
well, also I think
saturated colors.
in the skein it can look shinier than it
does
up.
work. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm kind of exploring different types of yarns, but like this is my first time using Cascade 220. I've heard a lot of really great things about it, but I think so far what I've really liked is actually I have a hat made out of it, which is made out of Kelburn Woolen Scout yarn, and this is a DK weight yarn, and it's pretty soft. This is, it's not going to show up very well, but I can include a picture. But it's got really nice feathering in it.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a windscheef hat. It's got a really fun twisted rib motif. So I would say that's my favorite. I actually found this yarn on sale somewhere, and I bought a sweater's worth. I had woken up really early, and I found this sale. I think it was like 4 a.m. I don't know what I was doing buying yarn at 4 a.m. But I bought a sweater's worth of this yarn in this color at 4 a.m. at one point when it was on sale. It was like 30% off, and I was like, yes, I will be buying more.
Amazing.
And I might make a Monday sweater.
Oh, good.
Because my other navy blue Monday sweater shrunk.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's going to go to my 9-year-old niece. Because it's
Shrunk to
so much.
9-year-old size.
Yes.
So do you buy the same color?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, it's a really nice color. And it's
Yeah.
got, like, it's not going to show up, I think, right now because of the lighting, but it's got
Like
kind
subtle,
of this reddish
subtle
hue.
What would you call it?
to
Variegation or heathering? Subtle
heathering. Yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my so far favorite yarn, I think.
Our next segment of our
Enthusiastic.
of our knit and chat is not quite knitting hot takes, but we thought we would have some discussions on like various knitting topics that other people have been discussing, I guess, or like common knitting topics. So the first one is thoughts on test knitting, because there seems to be two kind of schools of thought out there. One of them is that, I guess the like positive view of test knitting would be, you are contributing to a community, and also you do get the pattern for free when you test knit. Often you'll get yarn for either discounted or for free, depending. Not every test knit has that, but there's quite a few, depending on like how big the designer is sometimes.
And where you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like if you're in Europe, then they'll give you
Yeah,
yarn.
if
but
they're
if
in
you're
Europe,
not,
yeah,
then
yeah.
they're not gonna be like, oh,
we ship this all.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then then there's been, I think more recently, there's been discussions that test knitting is kind of like, perhaps you could be taking advantage of people's time, and that people should be compensated, and that, because, pattern designers rely on test knitters to find find mistakes or yada, 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 that kind of thing.
Well, what do you think?
I'm in camp positive test knitting.
Okay.
So far, I have only test knitted one time, but I think obviously I knit because I enjoy it, so I don't feel like test knitting is work in the in the sense of like the job, that like a 9-to-5 sort of job. Like it's like part of me enjoying the hobby. And as I was kind of saying earlier, when I was like applying to all these test knits just because I really wanted to be a part, you do feel like a sense like contributing to this community that I love so much, and this hobby that I love so much. Like I felt excited just to be a part. I'm just happy to be here.
I feel like part of it is also like when you first kind of dive deeply into the social media world of knitting.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you see all these other people who are test knitting, so it kind of becomes like a social thing where you're like,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, other people are test knitting. I want to try that out. Like I want to be the first one to try that pattern. I don't know what the. So I definitely get that, and I had the same experience where I was like, oh, now I want to test knit something too, and I also applied to a bunch, and it was like, some people didn't even respond, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's like, you gotta at least tell people no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
One nice
thing. But you like it.
Yeah, but
you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it, and I definitely didn't feel like taking advantage of,
Yeah.
But I think the pattern, the one time that I have tested it for this pattern, there was literally zero mistake. Like there was zero. I had zero comment. I mean, like I made some comments about the how the knitting experience went, but I didn't have any like, you need to like this stitch count was off or whatever.
Right.
And I think it's probably pretty variable whether that happens, because I do think that most times designers will have their patterns tech edited first, which is like somebody checking your math sort of thing.
Or like they do the math for you.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. They grade it for you maybe.
Yeah. Which is, I feel like that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, grading.
Yeah. I feel like it would just be, I would be so intimidated to try that, but I guess that is the point of test knitting, is to see.
Oh yeah, to test if the grading was accurate.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I've thought about that. Like, if I made my sister-in-law a sweater, and I was basically just trying to use math from several different sweaters, and then
to make it bigger.
And I was like, I hope it fits, and it ended up fitting, but it still is kind of like.
Like, are the like proportions still gonna be the same?
Yes, exactly, yeah. Because I was watching the Knit Pearl Girl, and she was saying how she was like, it's not a science, it's an art. So you can't literally just be like, X times whatever, Do you have
any extra thoughts?
I liked test knitting. It was fun because, so I test knit the Staff and Vest, which is still ongoing right now, actually. But because it's a vest, you kind of just sit down, and once you figure it out, you can just go.
Mm-hmm. No arms.
No sleeves was so nice because I had just been so sick of doing sleeves at that time, especially. But I liked it. I found with this pattern, this is a pattern by Rebecca Clow, or the Crayabea, and I found in the beginning, I didn't even have yarn for it because in all honesty, I wasn't expecting to get it. So when I got it, I was like, what?
Oh, I gotta get you.
I thought it was gonna be like a sorry type of email, and then I looked at it and I saw the list of people, and I was like, oh, there's me. So I guess I should do this. So I got the yarn, but it came later, and other people already had the yarn, and were like, I'm gonna start, blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, oh gosh. But it was like a 12-week.
Yeah, that's a long time for a vest.
Which is really, it's nice. I would rather it be like not rushed.
Yeah.
But there were some issues with the pattern initially, and I can't remember how many stitches, but it's a certain stitch repeat. And instead of having full charts for it, it was just like that stitch repeat, so you couldn't keep track of which stitch you were on. And also I never knit texture flat, so I also had to figure that out. So in the beginning I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is like, yeah, I was a little intimidated and just frustrated with it. But then I put it down, did some other stuff, and then I came back to it and just started it over.
Yeah.
And once I figured it out, then it was like you got through it pretty fast. But I did find that Rebecca was very responsive to people, even though she's running, I think what she said, like, what, 8 test knits right now?
8 test knits
like
at the same time.
gazillion
She has
test
so
knits.
many
like,
patterns
I do
coming
not know
out.
how you do that.
Yeah.
But she was very responsive. People in the group chat have been really nice about showing pictures and kind of highlighting things that they've caught in the pattern. So I see the value in test knitting, but I also think that if you don't want to take the time, or you want to just be able to sit down and do the pattern, like test knitting probably
Not
isn't
for
the right
you,
thing, because there definitely are hiccups in it and you kind of have to be willing to put up with that.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't know. I kind of get what people are saying in terms of like, oh, it's like they're using your labor, but it's also like, I don't know. I don't know what I would say about that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It is a lot of time.
Yeah.
But
so I guess kind of like depends on like how well the pattern's written.
I think a lot of it is going to be dependent on the designer you're working with. Like the time frame that you have, the pattern that you're looking at, like all these things are going to depend on the designer.
Yeah. It is true that like not all test knits are the same in terms like with Gregorian Fibers test knits, the one that I did not have a group a group chat. So that one was more about just like we'll go through the pattern. There wasn't a community aspect to it, which was, I think, meant that there was less, it was just like less involvement than one that had a group chat that you could talk to people with, but also that clearly there's less community.
Right, which is kind of why you were excited about it, right?
Yeah.
So, the other thing I was thinking is with a test knit, you can't make any modifications unless you run it by the designer usually. Oh, yeah. And usually when I'm doing a pattern, whether it's intentional or not, I end up making some sort of modification, so I was a little intimidated by that as well.
Oh yeah, like I'm gonna be locked into these things.
Yeah, and then I submitted the feedback form and it was literally just like, what size did you make and what comments do you have? But it wasn't like, what are your dimensions and stuff like that. So
did she ask you for yarn amounts?
Yes, the amount of yarn that I used was, I had to provide that, but it wasn't like, I thought it was gonna be like a very detailed feedback form, but it ended up not being quite as detailed as I thought. Yeah.
Okay, so another topic we have here is about gatekeeping in the knitting community. Like, do we think that the knitting community is gatekeepy? Obviously, gatekeeping is not good ever, so like that's not an opinion we need to discuss. Like, definitely it's not good. But I guess it's like, do we think that there's gatekeeping in the knitting community? Or did we go with the same? No, I think I was with my boyfriend when I went into just a local yarn store.
Yes, you told me about this though.
Yeah, I won't say which store it is because it's like I think in general the store is like a good store, but I had like a kind of negative experience going into this.
Yeah.
I went into a local yarn store that was very much a yarn store that like there was like no acrylic in there at all, I think.
Which is how a lot of local yarn stores are. Like, unfortunately, to find good acrylic yarn, you can't really
pretty
see
much
it in
online.
person.
Yeah, there's like the acrylic yarn that's in the big craft stores, which is like usually the less good acrylic yarn. And so I went, it was in the summer, and so I was excited to go buy some fancy yarn because I could do plant fibers, and it was the first time I had been in a local yarn store. And
it's an experience.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
It was cool.
You walk in, you're like, there's yarn
everywhere. But there was like, I got this. It's one of those things where there's a lot of, not all communication is verbal, and I think it was very obvious that I was, especially like 6 months ago, like a newer-ish knitter. I think more like we're like intermediate now. We're not really. We've been knitting so much. We've been knitting so much.
We've been knitting like nonstop
this year.
The whole year,
so we're more like intermediate now. We're not new anymore. But like first time in yarn store, so I was kind of like looking around, slightly confused. And I also was gonna buy some like sock needles because I wanted to try like 9-inch circular sock needles instead of doing magic loop. And I was just getting a sense of
like a what are you doing?
What are you doing here? Like you clearly don't know like what you're talking about, kind of thing. Or like
it's just, I mean,
like what's the point?
Yeah, what is the point? Like how does that help you, or like how does that help you?
Yeah, and it's like, also it's like this person is trying to sell me something, right?
Exactly.
So you would need to be, like, I'm gonna be giving you my hard-earned money.
Well, but also when somebody else is like, I want to learn knitting, I get so excited.
Yeah,
I'm like, what yarn are you gonna use? What pattern are you gonna do? Let's knit together. I knit with my friend all the time. We knit together for 7 hours at a time, and you're like, oh gosh, like I definitely like overwhelmed.
You will become obsessed.
Yeah.
You won't do anything
Watch
else.
this. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think that yarn store. I know which one you're talking about. I think it just depends on the vibe. Like yarn stores generally have a vibe, and I've definitely experienced this going into different yarn stores. For example, there's another yarn store that I recently discovered that's also local to us. And I went in and it was a very different experience.
Oh yeah.
Like the lady was there, the owner. She talked to me for a long time about yarn, about patterns, like what types of wool she was bringing in. She was very, very approachable. Versus, I feel like some yarn stores,
there's like cool girl yarn stores,
exactly,
or something.
or like, I don't know, they just are not interested in discussing it with you. Which I'm like, if I owned a yarn store, I'd be like, let's talk about yarn all the time. So I don't know, it's different. I don't know if that's so much gatekeeping from the knitting community, so much as that's just like a you problem type of thing. You know, like not you, but like
the person.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Person,
like something obviously is not right in their life if they're like upset about this.
Taking it out on their customers. Yeah.
But I do think that brings up a good point, which is that, you know, I've recently kind of moved over to knitting a lot more with wool and animal fiber yarns, but I don't exclusively knit with wool. Like if I'm knitting something for my niece or even just something, it depends on what I'm knitting. It's not like I've totally crossed acrylic yarn off the list, but I do feel like from what you've told me and also just in general, acrylic yarn is kind of like,
it's kind of like poo-pooed a little bit. It's poo-pooed a little bit. Yeah.
Which is kind of also silly, I think.
Yeah, what is the point of that?
I don't know. I will say I tried knitting. I've been knitting more with animal fibers recently, and then I knit.
It's a different experience,
It definitely is a different experience.
Yeah.
And people call acrylic yarn kind of squeaky, and I do think part of this is that probably the acrylic yarn that people are using is from big box stores.
Yeah.
So the quality of the yarn may not be as good as some of the other ones you can find out there. But when I did that, I used yarn from big box store, which turns out and washes really nicely. But I did understand all of a sudden the squeaky yarn situation. Yeah. So and again, it's not like I was against it or anything, but it's definitely a different experience. Yeah. But it's not worth like, I'm not gonna knit with you.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah, but there is like, it's kind of like there's a lot of like things unsaid where
it's like prestige or something.
Yeah, like there are times when I like don't, almost like I'm afraid of people asking what my sweaters are like made out of or something, because like I don't want to have to tell them that it's acrylic because I am like embarrassed. Yeah. Something which is like so silly. I don't want to feel that way.
Well, and also like it still looks amazing, so why does it matter? You know? It's like, also it's probably a lot softer.
It is quite soft. Yeah. Which I think like works for a lot of things. However, there are cases when I don't know, maybe I need to like add some cotton to it or something, but where I wish I had a little bit more structure, like my Esther jacket. I wish my Esther jacket is so soft. It feels so good.
It's really soft. It's like buttery soft.
It's so so soft, but it's kind of floppy. And it's meant to be a jacket, and I think it needs a little bit of structure. And I wonder what would happen if I held an acrylic yarn and cotton together.
That's an interesting idea, because I know that cotton tends to stretch a lot, but if you held it together,
maybe the acrylic would keep it from stretching.
Like balance it. Or use a cotton blend. Cotton blend.
Yeah, there are acrylic
blends. It's acrylic cotton. I was gonna say, like what I've seen is acrylic or cotton and animal fiber blends. But
they make cotton and acrylic blends. I've seen that out there. I've never used it before, but I've seen it in existence.
Maybe, yeah.
I think Cascade actually has one. Cascade yarn.
But it probably wouldn't be as warm.
No, it wouldn't be as warm. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I might play around with that to see if that would, yeah, if anyone's watching has knit with, cotton and acrylic blended together, definitely let me know. Yeah.
It is nice though because you've done a lot of research on acrylic yarn, so
yeah.
I am sometimes like, ooh, Lizzy, what kind of yarn are you using for this project?
Yeah,
and then I've used some of the yarns that
I've definitely learned a lot. I learned a lot more about. I know a lot more now about acrylic yarn than I did when I started. Like, of course, like anyone does. And I do have like a tub of acrylic yarn that I used when I first started that I think I'm just gonna donate.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I have acrylic yarn that's not machine washable.
Yeah,
I cannot believe I purchased that.
There's a fair amount of acrylic yarn that's not machine washable.
It's like what? Like that's like one of the big draws of acrylic.
At least in my opinion. Like I'm not gonna gift knit somebody, like a kid, something where I'm then telling their parents,
here's a chore.
Yeah, you have to hand wash this sweater for your 9-year-old.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get rid of that yarn. Yeah. Okay. Next subject is how do we feel about gift knitting? What are our opinions on gift knitting? What does it mean for someone to be knit worthy? Is it worth knitting like an entire garment for someone?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that we
do gift knit.
We're both for people, and that garments are not off the table.
Yeah.
I love gift knitting. Yeah. One of my kind of loose rules with myself is that if I have multiple whips going, I want one of them to be for somebody else. So then it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it helps keep everything going, moving along. I don't usually set hard deadlines though, because
knitting's supposed to be fun.
I don't know. Exactly. Like once your hobbies don't become fun, then you're not doing them right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love gift knitting for people, and I feel like as long as the person you're knitting for, which hopefully they would understand that it takes a long time. Yeah. Like I feel like that is what makes someone knit worthy. Yeah,
as long as they you know that they're gonna like appreciate what went into it. Yeah. Because I'm knitting my brother's socks, and there could totally be a case where it's like, wow, you got my socks for Christmas. But I think like he understands that I will have spent like many hours making these things, and it's like,
yeah, I feel like that's part of it, and also just like, for example, I like to knit my niece sweaters.
Yes, and she loves them so much.
She does, and she wears them a lot. But she's not one to, I think, understand how long it takes. But she does. She does like the joy in it is her loving to wear it to me. Yeah. Which is also, I think, part of knitting stuff for other people, but especially with children. Yeah. Plus, children's clothes are smaller.
Yeah, they take less time. Also, like I feel like there's something special about like joy coming from a child. Yes, it's like it's so pure. Yes. It like versus like obviously adults can be joyful too, but there's something special about joy from a child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like it's a combination of things, but I definitely overcommit myself in terms of telling people that I'll make something for them, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, maybe I want to make myself something too.
Yeah. I think for me, I do like gift knitting. I think I might like it a little bit less than you. Like I don't always have a gift knit going on. Like I mainly do it for like, oh, there's a birthday or like something very specific. Yeah. For me, I think I do need to like remind myself of the gifting moment, because I really love the gifting moment.
Yes, that's a good point.
Spent a lot of time making something, and then to see them like it and then like wear it. I'm also gift knitting a sweater for my stepdad, and I knit him a sweater last year, and he really liked it, and he wore it, and he's like,
What did you make him last year?
I made him a zipper sweater.
Oh, right, by Petite Knit.
Yeah, the zipper sweater made by Petite Knit. I have knit 4 of those, because I knit one for my brother, one for my stepdad, and one for my boyfriend for last Christmas. And then in last February, I made one for me. So I've made that pattern 4 times. I think I probably will not make it again.
Yeah, that's a lot. I feel like it's so funny how Petite Knit will be like, Moby Sweater Man.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that the name in it is so funny, like a zipper sweater man.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no zipper sweater lady. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I feel like it's the opposite though. In most cases,
I was about to
it's
say the first
women's
time,
basketball.
Yes. So it's okay. Yeah, the second place is going to.
I just think it's funny. Zipper sweater man.
And I hacked it to make one for myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you gotta do as a designer, but I definitely think you can do that.
But yeah, but seeing him wear it, actually I didn't see him wear it, but getting feedback from my family that he wore it a lot, just brings you a lot of joy when you know like someone's actually using your gift. I have to remind myself of it though, because I do get like, I definitely feel more drawn towards for knits for myself.
I definitely think it's easier to make things for yourself because you can constantly try it on.
Yeah,
you know what your preferences are. Yeah. I felt like I was knitting stuff I ended up knitting my cousin 2 Arctic Light sweaters because I made the second one the wrong size, so then it did not fit me. But luckily it fit her, so I gave it to her. But I remember while I was knitting it, I was constantly like asking her for dimensions and stuff, and obviously she was very accommodating, but you feel like I don't want to be a burden and bothering people versus for me, I can just pop it on and be like, I need to lengthen this, or this is too long or whatever.
Definitely more convenient.
Like there's a lot more thought energy that goes into knitting something for someone else.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like mental energy.
It does take a lot more mental energy. Yeah. That might be part of it. I didn't really think about that. Yeah.
I don't know. I like it though. I think it's it also to me helps justify buying so much yarn.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's okay, because
this is clothing for lots of people.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, well, that's not my yarn. Yeah. It's going to somebody else, so I can still have it and look at it and use it. Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, no, but it's not going to be my own thing. Yeah. And I don't need 10,000 sweaters, so it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Gift knitting is enabling your yarn buying hobby.
Yes. Yeah. It's severe.
Yeah. I haven't seen your stash. I want to see your your stash has grown a lot.
Maybe I should do a stash tour.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm kind of embarrassed though. I'm not really a consumerist, and now I am with yarn.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay,
it's so bad.
I was never a shopper either. We were neither of us were shoppers at all.
I hate going to stores.
I didn't even understand how someone could be like addicted to shopping. And now you just don't buy it. But now I get it.
Buying yarn at 4 a.m.
Yeah. Now I get it. Now that I finally have like something that I really.
Oh, it's so bad. It's severe.
Yeah. You should totally do a yarn stash tour.
I'm like.
Knitters will understand. You do not need to be embarrassed about it.
Okay.
They will be like, knitters are gonna be like, yeah, my yarn stash is 3 times that size. So, gift knitting.
One more question.
Oh, yes.
Would you be happy if somebody else gift knit something for you?
Oh,
like
as
if I
a knitter.
knit something for you.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I would be probably more appreciative than the average person.
Exactly. I think so too.
Because I know how long it takes.
Yes, I think so too. Yeah. On the other hand, I would be like self-conscious. Because I'd be like, oh, Lizzy can notice things.
Oh,
if I give something to my mom, she's not gonna be like, you missed a stitch there.
That's a pearl when
versus Lizzy could be like, oh, I think she started her decreases too soon. Oh no. Her ribbing is shorter than the pattern calls for. Oh, that was a modification.
Intentional.
But I feel like I would appreciate it too.
Yeah.
Like if somebody gave me. It's like if somebody handmade me something in ceramics, I would be like, oh wow, that took a lot of time.
Yeah.
Versus I feel like sometimes if you give it to somebody else and they're just like, it's a bowl.
Okay, quick story. Delaney gave me last Christmas one of her handmade mugs. Oh, yeah. And it was so well done that I thought that it was, she didn't tell me at first that she had made it, and I thought that it was like she gave me some tea in a mug, which is like a perfect, cute gift. And I was grateful for the gift, but not the enthusiasm that would match a handmade mug. And so I think you could tell that I didn't think that it was hand.
Yeah, you opened it and you were like, oh, that's nice. And I was like, oh, thanks. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should tell her that I made it, because I don't know. I don't like to be. Yeah, I don't want to be like, oh, hey, you know, like.
No, I'm so glad you told me, but it was so well done that it looked store-bought, and then she told me that was handmade, and I freaked out.
Yeah, and then I told you, and you were like, ah!
Yeah, no, I have 2. She's made me 2 of them now. So I guess my point was that, was that just like, appreciating handmade things. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think once you become more of a crafter, you appreciate handmade things. Like even even stuff that I don't actually do, I'm like, I bet that took a lot of time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
to make things
yeah.
look good, you have to spend a lot of time
Yeah.
with things that don't look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do ceramics, you definitely understand that.
Yeah.
At my wall that smashed into the wall. Not my wall, my bowl that smashed into the wall.
Would it fly off the wheel?
Flew off the
Oh my
wheel.
gosh. I cannot believe that you like made it from, like, you didn't just paint it. You actually, that's crazy. I'm so impressed.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
But I like knitting more.
I do think that knitting has kind of unlocked like the DIY world for me. Like, I've realized, like, oh, you can do things yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you
and
think,
it's simpler than it looks.
it's simpler than it looks. Yeah. Like, when you think of knitting a sweater, I was so intimidated by my first sweater. I was like, this is gonna take me 7 years. It's not gonna turn out good. The first time I made a sweater, it was a raglan, and I didn't understand that you need to increase on the outside of the raglan stitches. I was increasing on the inside of the raglan stitches, and it looked really weird. And so I had to knit the yoke twice, but only twice. That's not
too
so
bad.
bad for my first sweater. Alrighty. Okay, so our last thing to close out our fun little chat session is kind of like upcoming plans. So are there any new techniques that we're looking forward to in 2025, trying to learn to increase our knitting knowledge, and just like, yeah, general plans for 2025 and how it goes along our knitting journeys. So do you have any like specific goals for 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am going to knit regularly. I'm lucky right now because I have a fair amount of time since I finished school and don't have a job right now. So I can basically be a full-time knitter.
Amazing.
Which is really, really fun.
Jealous.
But I do want to continue knitting regularly in the new year. And also, one of the gift knits that I told both my mom and her sister, so my aunt, that I would make them is these really pretty mittens, and they're color work mittens.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't made color work anything yet. So that's kind of one of my goals, is to make
Color work is
something
gonna be
color
your
work.
yeah.
It looks like fun, but I haven't done it yet, so I'm kind of intimidated by it.
Yeah, I think it's totally doable.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, your color work has come out so well.
And honest, like, I don't think that just like following the chart. I don't think that there's not.
See, but you're better at that. Like, I am like, oh, there's a chart, I'm gonna memorize it, so it's gonna be fine. And then, 3 rows later, I'm like, oh. Oops.
I will say that, like, with cables, I would eventually not be able to look at the chart.
Yeah.
With color work, I've never been able to not look at the chart.
Yeah.
So with color work, that is a situation where you're looking at it at least every row, sometimes even like every few stitches.
Yeah, which is kind of like, you can at least be engaged.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's definitely very
sometimes it
engaging.
gets boring.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
just be doing stockinette, but
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's
I'll have
more, I personally think that color work takes more concentration than cables.
yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same. It's not like you're doing repeats.
Yes,
necessarily.
exactly. Yep.
So that's one of my goals.
Color work. Amazing.
How about you?
I think my biggest, or like my scariest goal for 2025 is I want to steek something.
Oh, yes, that's a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah, which
Knitting flat is.
yeah, who likes that?
Yeah, no one. I mean,
I swear no one like prefers knitting flat. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there are patterns where you just, it's like your stepdad's sweater where you combine everything. Okay.
Woo! We got a cat fiasco going on. Yeah, there's sweaters that aren't seamless or that are seamed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like.
Oh, you knit like all of them flat.
Like, the reason why I knit is because I don't want to sew.
Yeah.
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 I don't do that for a reason.
So I feel like steeking could like unlock, like, it's like next level where you could like never have to knit flat again.
Well, that was like, okay, so when we went to a knitting retreat thingy like a month ago or something, and there was a woman there who was kind of challenging herself to make patterns without having to look at them. Like, using inspiration from patterns that people have made, but then trying to come
Like
up
writing
with
it
in
yourself.
her brain.
Yeah.
And so I recognized the pattern she was making. It was the Robina sweater by Anne Bensel, which is a really pretty pattern, and people do all sorts of different things with it. And it's a sweater, so she wanted to make it a cardigan. So she not only figured out how to do that, but she also figured out how to make it a cardigan. And on top of that, she steeked it.
Amazing.
I really liked that lady. She was wearing a cool sweater too.
Amazing.
I think her name was Nancy. So
Amazing.
Nancy, if you ever find this,
We think you're
sweaters.
cool.
I think I saw you in the dog store too the other day.
Small town.
Yes, very small town.
So I think, yeah, so that's my big technique for 2025. But then also, I think it's about time I learned how to do brioche.
You know, I watched
Or
a
like
video
fish ones
on how
do.
to do
Yeah.
it, and it really doesn't look as difficult as I feel like some people say.
Nice.
That's also famous last words. There's a fair number of famous last words, but it was just like you knit into the stitch below instead
Yeah.
of knitting a next stitch, essentially. So then
Like
you
when you
get like that
pulled this one up,
I think you knit into it.
like this?
Yeah, I think
And then-
something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember. You should probably watch some videos, not take my advice when I haven't even done it.
Okay.
The blind leading the blind, perhaps not the best for knitwear.
Ooh, I think my cat's using her new cat bed. Maybe we could try brioche at the same time.
Oh, true.
Maybe we could do like
Several.
like let's learn brioche.
Or we could do like a new
Knit-
techniques knit along or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good. Like new year, new technique.
Yes.
New year, new technique. Oh, I love it.
We should do like, I feel like what I like to do, I feel like you're more ambitious than me, but if I'm trying a new technique, then I like to start out with a smaller thing.
Oh,
like not
okay,
a
let's
whole
make a
sweater
Let's
or
make
something.
a brioche hat.
Yeah,
and then
or like
we'll make
a
brioche.
scarf or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're like, you can kind of warm up and then know what you do and you don't like about it instead of committing to an entire garment.
Yeah, I think like what the really hard thing about brioche is when you increase or decrease.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't know how
Because you have to use that prior stitch.
Yeah, you still have to like
somehow.
maintain
Yeah.
the. Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's something we would have to tackle. But we could do it.
Yeah, I'm very confident in us. It seems like
Just take some practice.
yeah. So far with knitting, anytime I've wanted to try something new, there's like been times when there's some like resistance at first in terms of like, oh, I have to try things a few times maybe to get it to work. But I've still been able to like, you can still do it, you know, like if you just break, knitting is quite like mathematical, you know, like you can, if you just break it down into the smallest portion, like the single stitch and go at first like stitch by stitch.
I mean, it's like everything else in
Yeah.
life where it's like, if it's not familiar, then I feel like I'll automatically have some sort of resistance to it. But then once I do it and I'm able to do it, then I just want to do more and more.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing.
That's how I feel about these things. I mean, the color work thing. I've been wanting to do something color work for a while, and I'm just like, I'll just do this other thing. I'll do more cables.
Yeah.
I'll do this. I'll do that. But then I'm like, I should just do it.
And I think there's obviously quite a few colorwork patterns that are just colorwork yoke. And I think that could be a good sweater. Dip your toe into colorwork because it's not colorwork for the entire sweater, it's just colorwork for the yoke.
Yes, although I was watching a podcast the other day called Gloria's Knits. I like her. She is making a colorwork sweater for the first time, and she opted for just like a colorwork yoke. And something she did say is that she doesn't like how much thicker the yoke is than the rest of the body because you have that stranded colorwork up here, and then you just have the other.
Colorwork is warmer than regular sock knit because it's multiple
like
layers.
double knitting essentially.
Yeah, double layers.
Oh
So
gosh, maybe that's not for me because I do get kind of overheated.
Yes.
Like lower the temperature in the house even more.
Yeah, we did. We turned the thermostat down to film this. So we can show off our sweaters. Yeah, the mittens will be fun, I think.
I think so too. Also, I'll show you the photo, or I'll give you a photo of.
Yeah. Okay. We'll put. I'll put here what she's gonna make.
I forget what they're called. I think they're called the nectar, sweet nectar mittens. They've got a hummingbird on one and a flower on the other.
Oh, that's
so that
cute.
You can put them together.
They're like it's like the hummingbird. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
It's really cute, and like I don't think it's something I would wear, but my mom I feel like is gonna love it. So.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I think that might lead us to the end of our very long knit chat.
Welcome to our Saturday or Sunday.
A snippet. A small snippet.
This is how we spend. By the time I get home, like, why is my voice and why am I so tired? Oh, it's because I've just been talking with Lizzy about knitting.
Yeah, laughing so hard. Yeah.
No, it's a good way to spend your
It really is. So we hope you guys enjoyed coming along with us. Again, Delaney's channel and Instagram is Black Dog Knits. I'll put her handle, is that what you call them? Like the
account handle. I don't know.
Her at right here. So you can go follow her as well. And stay tuned. It sounds like we might do a knit along of some kind.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Either a staff-in knit along in January when it gets released, or a new year, new technique.
Yeah, we should do that.
Knit along.
That would be fun. Yeah. I feel like that's something that I have enjoyed more so lately with the test knit for the staff test is just like getting to exchange ideas.
Yeah, like the community aspect of it. Yeah, knit alongs are fun. I did a small one in the fall. Emily Chris's apple picking knit along. Oh yeah, and that was cool. It's
just fun to see other people making stuff and
or like
get a lot of ideas.
Or just like, of course it's always great to be around people that love something as much as you love it.
Yes, exactly. That's why it's so fun that we both knit because like
we can
get really excited about knitting. Yeah. Versus I'm at home and I'm telling my family and they're just like, those socks are beautiful, and I'm like, but look at the squishy heel. Yeah. And they're like, that's nice.
But we understand. Yeah, we understand each other.
So that's fun.
Well,
anyways,
that brings us to the end.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you could come on the channel, and we'll have to do a film another knit and chat.
Oh yeah, on your channel. On
your channel, yeah. So that'll come at some point.
Come back for more enthusiasm.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna send lots of big hugs to everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Happy knitting.
Bye.